Hello, hello.
Evening.
Evening all.
Evening all. What's going on here then? Witchy
Hello,
business.
hello. How are you today, my lovely?
A bit salty. It's the only word I can use. Bit out of sorts. I know it's a common thing because I've seen the posts. But yeah, it's been an irritating and sort of a day.
Yeah, hasn't it just? It's funny, I've not had anything that's gone wrong, apart from that I had some hikers who decided that the best place to have a conversation was on the bridle path right outside my front window for about an hour.
Lovely.
It's just like, move.
Yeah. Want to hear the detail?
There's nothing for 3/4 of a mile that way. Pick. But don't stand outside my front window. So yeah, I was a bit irritated by that. But no, that's the only thing that's actually annoyed me today. But it's one of those days, and I think I'm convinced it's to do with this lunar eclipse and the blood moon and full moon and flower moon. I'm convinced it's all to do with that. And I've had such an odd day, and I've felt so anxious. And I don't normally feel anxious. I'm not an anxious kind of person.
No.
But I felt very, very anxious and literally sick to the pit of my stomach. Really strange.
That's a very visceral reaction, isn't it?
Yeah. And of course, we didn't get to see the eclipse because it happened on the other side of the planet when we weren't looking.
We couldn't see it. Even if we could look round corners, we still couldn't see it.
My corner-looking abilities aren't that great.
I'll vouch for that. Hello, Redwing. Hello, Jewelry Cells. Hello, Lee. Hello, Susie. Hello, Becky. Welcome, one and all.
Indeed. Hope you're all feeling, well, a bit less out of sorts than I was earlier. I perked up a lot, actually. I watched a funny cat video, and that seemed to do the trick.
Kittens, kittens. What can I say? Yeah.
This one was particularly funny, so yeah. So it kind of got me out of my funk.
That always helps.
It did, actually. It kind of broke the cycle. But what a day! Yeah, it was strange. And I put a thing up on Facebook to see if other people, sometimes when you're in such an odd mood, you're kind of like, is it me? Is it something in the air? Well, I'll see. And lots of other people said exactly the same thing and just kind of reiterated how I was feeling. And I wasn't after sympathy or anything. I was just genuinely curious to know whether other people were feeling its effects. But it would seem that they were. Hi, Chris. So yeah, hi, Hannah. So yeah, I think we've all been we've been at its mercy. I think. Oh, hello, Hattie. I'm going to go slow. We've gone on slow-mo. Slow-mo cat. Oh, we've got a bird too. Hello. Yes.
Oh, well.
They're going to play What's Amiss with this dish.
Yeah, what's missing this week?
Oh, God. Have you had any effects from the moon directly or indirectly, do you think?
Most directly, just the fact that my mood has been quite feisty, I would say, today. People being peoply, machinery not functioning. Just the simple things seem like hard work. And I very rarely have entire days where it feels like that, but it's been one of those. So I'm glad when it's over, really. Yeah. I'm all right, Becky, thank you.
It'll just be a couple of days and it'll all die down a bit, won't it? But it does seem to upset everybody, doesn't it? So yeah, exactly. I went to a psychic fair on Sunday.
Do tell.
I did. And actually had the most fantastic day out with some pals, didn't we? And it was lovely to meet up with people and so on. It was a lot smaller than I expected it to be. The space was massive and very chilly. But it was not very well filled, simply because it was such a big place, I think. And because it's so new into the new.
Distancing stalls then, did they have them quite far apart so people wouldn't crowd? Was that the thing?
Yeah. Although there was a sort of a cluster in the middle, which I thought was, there was a lot of trundling about space and a sort of cluster in the middle, which possibly could have been done maybe a bit you know, maybe a bit better. Maybe they were hoping for some more people and then they backed out last minute or something like that. Well, hello. Come on. Hello. Oh, we've got a hat. Oh, hello. Hello. There it is. Oh, you've got an ear. There we are. Oh, no. He's Josie's mine. So, yeah, it did seem a bit foolhardy having this, you know, sort of cluster in the middle. Things around the outside were nicely spaced, but this kind of bank in the middle was possibly not as well done as it could be. I mean, it was all right, but it's, you know, that was all right. And there were some lovely things to buy. In fact, I almost broke the land speed record buying this. I bought a moon. If I can get it right. There we go.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Isn't it lovely? I literally spotted it across the room and ran. It's like, I'm going to spend money. I haven't done that for ages, apart from buying lentils. And the novelty's worn off with lentils, I have to say.
It does, doesn't it?
It does.
They are.
Very nice as they are. Yeah, it's just not the same. Buy something shiny, well.
Yeah, exactly. Much more fun.
Exactly. In fact, I bought quite a lot of shiny things.
You bought lots of things. Uh-oh.
Yeah, I know. I was on a bit of a spending spree. I did enjoy myself, though. It was jolly good.
You were out. That's what it was. You were out, properly out.
I know. It was lovely, actually. It was really nice. It was sort of reminiscent of old days, actually. It was lovely. And, yeah, and they had the, you know, the standard tarot card readers and aura readers and
they're always everywhere, aren't they?
Yeah. So I have to say I was a bit disappointed with the people that I chose to do readings for me. And that kind of, I don't know, it was I felt a bit flat afterwards, really. It was, you know, it's one of those things, and you know you can do these things for yourself, but sometimes it's quite nice to have a stranger read it for you, or read stuff for you generally. Because you sort of think, you know, well, there might be something that I've missed, or, you know, if you're doing it for a person that you know, sometimes you're too close to that person either to be able to say things, or you actually miss things, or you read too much into something because you know that person. So sometimes it's quite nice every now and again to have a reading from, you know, from an entire stranger, and I quite like that. And the first person I spoke to, she was a medium, and she said that I had a father figure or grandfather figure right by me. I think it's your dad. Well, she picked the wrong person to want to have her dad next to her.
Yeah, incorrect.
Oh, God.
Try again.
Yeah, I mean, he might have been there, I suppose, but that kind of got my back up, whichever way you looked at it.
That's not going to go well, is it?
Yeah, and she sort of was coming out with all sorts of stuff which had no relevance to me whatsoever. You know, and then I think she realised that she was on the ticket to nothing and said, "Oh, this person says he's sorry," and I thought, well, you might think so.
Don't have to work that one out.
And I thought, no, it's still, you know, and it just, no, and she's like, oh, you know, very tense. I'm thinking, well, that's what you've just said. He's here. I don't think so. So, yeah, so that was a bit of a letdown, really. And then it sort of got towards the end of it. And I sort of thought, oh, God, I suppose I ought to pay her for it because, you know, I've used her time. And fortunately, she said, oh, I don't pay light workers. And I thought, I don't charge light workers, she said. And I thought, well, that's all right, because I didn't feel like paying you anyway. A bit mean, wasn't it? But as I say, there was nothing that she came up with that was relevant, not one thing. So I thought, well, obviously, you know, it didn't work for that. Then I went to go and see a tarot lady who was 80, it turned out. I'd have put her early 60s. It turned out she was 80. Although she was equally surprised at my age. She put me mid-30s, which I thought was hilarious.
Oh, that's a fun for life, that is. Yes, please.
Again. Mid-30s, my God. Well, my daughter's 31, I don't think so. Anyway, that was quite amusing. But what was odd about that was that she had this large statue of Isis on her table, at the front of her table, which meant that almost all of the cards that she laid down you couldn't see.
Oh,
which was really odd. Yeah, it was really odd. It's like, oh, okay. And she came out with some, very irrelevant nothings. It's like, no, I don't think so. And then the last person I went to see did all sorts of stuff. And it seemed to work for lots of other people, but it didn't seem to work with me. Maybe he was just tired because it was at the very end of the day, which is quite possible. If I'm doing lots of readings and getting knackered too. But about the only thing that kind of came up was, why do you always wear black? Well, obviously I was wearing black because I do. But the fact that he said, why do you always wear black? And that I should wear lots of different colours. And he talked a lot about that. And then said that I should get more, or what was it? I should try and get more vegetables and protein in my diet. And it's like,
for goodness sake, blimey. You cannot physically eat more vegetables because that's all you're eating, really. It's hilarious. How did you not laugh?
I was like, well, I'm a very health conscious vegan, so I do quite a lot of that sort of stuff. But like I said, I think he was possibly tired at that point. So, so from that point of view, from the psychic point of view, it wasn't great for me personally. I think some people really got loads of it out, loads out of it, rather. But for me personally, that side didn't work so much. But from a Shopfest point of view,
yeah.
my debit card went, ooh.
Ouch.
But it was nice being out. It really was.
Exactly. I was out. I went to a friend's party. Well, it wasn't a big party. There were only very few of us, but it was meant to be outside. But, inevitably the English weather did its thing and we kind of had to move inside, but we were all very careful. But it was just so lovely to actually have a face-to-face conversation with them. It was out, properly out.
Yeah, nice. Do you know what? It was really strange. I don't know whether Tina's in yet or whether she's lurking or she'll kind of see it tomorrow. But Tina put a thing up on Facebook today that really got my mind whirring. And it was something along, I can't remember it word for word, but it was something along the lines of, now that lockdown's coming to an end, I'm going to miss out on lots of things. And I thought, wow, yeah. And I thought that's so true. Because people are sort of going, oh, well, I don't have to do it that way anymore. We can meet up in person. But there's lots of people that can't physically meet up in person for so many different reasons, either because of their health or because of transport or whatever it might be.
Distance or,
or distance, And there's so many reasons why. And I thought, God, I mean, that's a proper contradiction in terms, isn't it? Lockdown's finishing, so I'm going to miss out.
Well, hopefully some of those things people will still continue to have more contact online than they used to. If there's one sort of good thing to come out of this, it's people have realised that technology isn't that. It can be awful, but it generally works quite well. Gosh.
I know, but it was just, I don't know, it seems such a contradiction in terms. It was a bit of an eye-opener, really. And the funny thing was that I was asked a couple of days ago, because I run as you know, I run a MOOC gathering once a month on the first Tuesday of the month. And my friend messaged and said, oh, now that we can get back to meeting up again, why don't we? And I've got this real dilemma. Because I think, well, yes, it's lovely to see people face to face, but then there'll be maybe half a dozen or a dozen of us that can meet up face to face, distance wise and transport wise and so on and so forth. But there's going to be another half a dozen or so that completely miss out. And I'm like, but then if I organise something and then it's dreadful with, terrible with rain, there might only be two of us that go. So there'd be a dozen people that miss out instead of only a few. And it's like, I don't know. So I'm really having conversations with myself as to what the best course of action is. So it's a funny one.
It's a combination. Some actual meetups and some online ones. So then everyone can kind of
maybe I could
out. But you can't be everywhere all at once, and there aren't enough hours in the day to to do it all. But
No.
you know, I think one thing I've realised is so much time is spent travelling, and you
Mm.
know, after a long thing to then go all the way home afterwards, God, you know, your day ended up being so long.
Mm.
I find I've had more energy since lockdown because I haven't been rushing around like a blue-ass fly.
Yeah. I know, that's very true. Very true. Same here, really. Yeah. It's, you know, and like you say, you know, you've got something and you've got, even if it's only 20 minutes, half an hour each way, that's still an extra hour out
Yeah,
of 24 that you've got to account for, isn't it? Rather than if you're doing yoga and you sort of, you put your hour aside, you do your yoga, and then off you go and do something different. So yeah, it's
yeah.
a funny thing, isn't it? It's anyway, it's sort of put me in a bit of a quandary thing. I don't quite know what to do. I might do a poll and see what people think.
Yeah.
Work it
There'll
out.
be a compromise somewhere in there
Yeah.
that will. You won't please everybody, but at least if everyone feels included and has a chance to say, that's all you can do, really.
Yeah, yeah. It's a tricky one though, especially as you know, evening times. Obviously, my evenings are somewhat limited, so yeah, it's a bit awkward, really. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, I'll see. Strange concepts, though, isn't it?
It
Very strange.
is, yes.
Yeah, very odd. What's, going back to what I was saying before about the psychic fair and whatever. What's your experience with you know, sort of mediums and psychics and tarot and things like that? Have you had overall good experiences, or?
I would say I've had fairly good experience, but it's not something I use very often. You
Mm,
know, I'm not at every fair going around seeing everybody. I try and work stuff out for myself, and occasionally out of curiosity I've gone to somebody, and sometimes it's been quite good, and other times I haven't quite seen it, and even in
mm,
hindsight I'm still thinking, oh, I don't know.
mm,
Um, yeah, I understand that when people are doing readings, sometimes they are tuning into, you know, spirit or what's outside of themselves, but it's difficult because if you've got stuff going on, your own subconscious gets caught up in it, and it's very
mm,
hard to tell the difference. And I think for a lot of people who do this as a living, the pressure to produce has got to be an inhibitor in some way, unless you're extremely talented at putting that to one side. So,
yeah,
and obviously there's tiredness and your own personal circumstances that can get in the way.
yeah,
Yeah, so I tend to be quite selective with, with what I would do on that front.
yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously, from a personal point of view, I mean, I've done, not professionally because I don't want to do that, but I've done tarot for money at psychic fairs.
Yeah.
And weirdly, you know, you kind of zone everything of yourself out. Well, I do.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
you know, sort of anything that's going on with you, you kind of zone out because you're so focused on the person that's sitting in front of you. Um, Certainly for me, that kind of doesn't come into it. So there aren't any inflections or slants on what I'm
Mm,
saying based on my own personal experience. It just does come. But you know, every now and again there'll be somebody that thankfully it hasn't happened all that often. But you know, there'll be somebody that I've tried to read for, and you know, sometimes you just can't, um, for all sorts of different reasons. Um, you know, and there's been at least 3 or 4 times, and I've said to somebody, I can't read for you. You know, I'm really sorry, but I'm not getting anything at all. Um, you know, and it's awkward when that situation happens, and you sort of think, God, is that me done for the day then?
and if
And
we're being
the person,
honest, I mean, that's the good thing.
yeah, but you know that I think if you're honest and say, you know, I'm really genuinely not getting anything, and I'm, you know, terribly sorry, but you know, it's not personal. I'm just I can't read you, or can't read the cards for you. And they're not telling me anything.
Mm,
You know, when you sort of get the next person, obviously you've got that worry. It's like, oh God, has it gone? Um,
yeah.
and it's just an individual thing. So it does happen very occasionally. And if you're on the receiving end of that, it's a bit awkward. But you know, if somebody's like I always am or have been, you know, sort of honest and said, I can't do that, but try this lady here and see what happens. I suppose if you've had about 6 or 7 people in a row say that, or if the person next door isn't as honest and, you know, isn't getting anything but decides, well, there's an opportunity to make 30 quid here and I don't want to, look a gift horse in the mouth.
Yeah, I don't know. You don't know people's individual circumstances.
Yeah, but
it's like anything. You're going to get people who are very good, people who are mediocre, and people who aren't very good at all. It's like any profession, isn't it? Any talent. It's not always there. It's not always consistent. You know.
Yeah. It's a strange one though, but I always think honesty is the best policy, and that's
absolutely
all you can do really. And you just sort of hope other people are going to do the same for you. It doesn't always work that way, of course, but
no.
It's tricky, but it's highly embarrassing when it happens too.
A bit of a surprise, I'm sure.
But put it down to needing a sandwich or something.
Yeah. People don't tend to look after themselves when they're doing work at these events. They tend to, soldier on because there's a queue, there's people waiting, and they just keep going and forget they have to nourish themselves physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, the lot.
Yeah, exactly. And you have people literally chomping at the bit, like, can you do me now? I really
get very cross if you're not available.
I need a wee.
I used to do like chair massages at events and stuff, and people would get really, really feisty. And it was always at the end of the day. And although I was used to being able to create the energy and not take it from myself, etc., it's fucking exhausting.
Yeah.
Wouldn't want to do it now.
Yeah. It's a weird thing, isn't it?
Oh dear.
It really place though, doesn't it? What we got?
Susie. That's a good comment.
What's this one? Do both and film it live. That's talking about the event, isn't it? Yeah. Highlighted the need for online still. Yeah, absolutely. No, I didn't go to any of the healers. There was a Reiki healer, and she was the only healer that I saw. If there was another one, I didn't spot them. And there was a talk which happened on the table which we picked for lunch and then got turfed off unceremoniously.
Oh.
Yeah, we didn't know it was the talk table. And she came along, she said, "We're going to have to move you because this is the talk table." As if we should have known. It's like,
whoa. So she's just expecting you all to be psychic then. Sorry. Poor Jen.
Susie, I remember many years ago at a private gathering, someone was reading for us. And we realised 4 or 5 of us got almost identical readings. Yeah. Yeah. It's like on Sunday, I sort of got some of the standard questions. I can't remember who it was from. Either the tarot reader or the medium. And she's standard question: who's the person with the back trouble?
It's going to be somebody because most people have back trouble.
Everybody knows someone that's got a back problem, don't they? It's like, yeah, exactly.
Fishy.
So,
it's just one of these things, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. We then sat down with the reader and discovered that the cards were relevant to her and not us. Oh,
exactly.
Yeah.
And that can happen. I'm sure it can happen if you're sat there with a deck of cards that sometimes things come through for you that aren't meant for the person you're with. It's just slightly unfortunate for the person you're with who's paying.
Exactly. Yeah. But again, you should be able to recognise it and then say to the person.
Yeah, it's a lack of experience.
When I'm doing readings for other people, as you know, when I'm doing readings for other people, I'm very mindful of the fact that I know it's kind of a very, it's a bit of a moot point really. It's one of those almost undone things. But I personally like the energy of the person to go into my cards. Now, that's not to say that I'll get them to shuffle my cards, because I won't. But I'll shuffle the cards and then I'll split them and then I'll tell them how they want me to recomprise the pack, because then they're putting their energy back in. And then I'll do it again, and then I'll do it again, and then I'll do it again. And then I'll split it down and ask them which particular chunk of cards they want me to use, because their cards are in that chunk.
And they know they've had an input into it, which makes them feel more like
participating. So I do that. So they're not they're not touching my cards, although I'm not precious about people touching my cards. I know a lot of people, I don't mean precious, that sounds really rude, but I'm not funny about that. It doesn't bother me if people touch my cards. And I understand if people are, and that's fine. But by doing that and asking somebody to interact with the cards, that then it means that they're less likely, I'm less likely to have a card reading for me. I'm going to get a card reading for them because they put something into it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So that's my slant on that. Yeah, Chris, it's heartbreaking. Sorry, I didn't get on with that. Yeah, it's just one of those things. Yeah.
It's life, isn't it? It's no reflection on anybody, but these things do happen. And you, Becky, are a very experienced reader, so it's a big ask, really.
Well, I mean, I go there, not to kind of show off my skills and sort of say, oh, well, you're telling me this and it means that, because I don't. That's not me. But sometimes it's just nice to have an outsider's point of view. In the same way that if you go to a clothes shop, which I've done in the last 20 years at some point, I think.
We do occasionally, not very often.
But if you go into a new clothes shop and you go in the changing room and some random person says to you, that looks really nice.
It means more, doesn't it?
It does mean more because someone's
not loaded.
No, someone's not saying it purely to be nice and to be your friend. And, if someone is very fond of you, then they'll say that you look nice in pretty much anything because...
Yeah, it's not helpful.
You look nice, it's not helpful. But if you've got some completely random schmo that says, wow, that's lovely, or that colour really suits you, black. But, it does. It's the same kind of thing. Sometimes it's nice to have a stranger's input and say, I've seen this and I've seen this, and have you thought about that? And this is an interesting thing. The only thing that did come up that was of interest to me was a date of the 22nd of June.
Okay.
So, yeah, it didn't have any context. It was just a date.
Okay.
Yeah. And then about 3 or 4 minutes after she gave the date, she told me that I couldn't see it because I had ISIS anyway. She told me that I had the blasted tower. Is that to do with the 22nd of June? I blooming hope not.
Well, yeah, we hope not.
Yeah. So we shall see. So things could change for me very much on the 22nd of June. We shall see. Watch this space. Yeah. So there you go. So yeah, it's a funny one, isn't it? You sort of hope that someone's going to come, but for those people that aren't happy doing their own things, or comfortable doing their own things, or experienced doing their own things, whatever it might be, sometimes they'll go and see people and they'll get an experience. And when you kind of have that sort of generic, what about this and what about that, you can fit things to match what someone's saying. And if you get that, then people are gonna, and it worries me, people are gonna sort of say, oh, well, they said this and they said this and they said this. And yeah, I don't know, it just bothers me a bit, really. And I was disappointed, to be honest. Yeah, but maybe they were a bit rusty. Let's face it, we're all a bit on the rusty side. No one's seen anyone for blooming ages.
Yeah, it could be mainly to do with that. Let's hope so for their sake, really, because it must be awfully difficult if it's not.
Yeah, benefit of the doubt and all that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, hopefully. Oh, that's nice. Coming to the end of my homemade blackberry wine.
Another 3 months and you'll be making some more.
I've still got quite a lot of plum left, though.
Oh, well, that's all right. That's totally nice.
Yeah, I've still got some of that left, so we're good to go.
We might get a summer yet. You never know.
I don't know. I was actually sitting outside today. I went outside lots of times today to try and get out of this weird, strange mood that I was in. And there was actually warmth in the sky. It was really quite nice.
If you see a bit of sunshine, you can feel how strong the sun is. And apparently, yes, this weekend is lined up to be half reasonable, I would say. I wouldn't call it a scorcher, but at least it's not bloody hell, it feels like March. I mean, everything's so late in my garden. I've got things like acroledias out at the moment, and all the forget-me-nots are out in profusion. But my foxgloves, which are normally like properly out by about now, not even close. They're still yet to put the heads up properly. It's very green and lush, but it's either all going to come at once and be quite a thing.
Yeah.
But it's very strangely, some things are delayed and some things have gone completely overboard, and strange ones.
Things are very, very late, and sort of, I don't know, everything, as you say, everything's late, but I mean, it's the same up and down the country, isn't it? I'll tell you what was weird though, and that was, I was driving home after work. Oh, what day was it? I think it might have been Sunday. Saturday or Sunday, because we had lots of storms, didn't we?
Oh, yes.
And blowy blows. Oh, blows of the gales. And driving home, there was so much debris and stuff on the road. And there'd been a tree down on Monday, and maybe it was Monday when I was coming. No, I can't remember. Anyway, whenever it was. And driving home, I've got the windscreen wipers going like mad, and it's lashing down and blowing a gale and stuff. And there was so much debris on the road. It was more like autumn. It was more like October, November, because it was cold and I had the heating on in the car and the windscreen wipers going like mad. And so much stuff was on the floor, like you get in October, November when it's, being blown off the trees and stuff. But it was like that. It was like,
yeah,
it's really weird. Yeah, really weird. So it's not all so much for me.
It can only get better.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, especially, we've got the solstice coming up in, 3 weeks, 4 weeks? So it better start sorting itself out. The solstice is coming up in, 3 or 4 weeks, isn't it? So better start sorting itself out before then.
So. The longest day and all that. Yeah. Looking forward to being able to celebrate it in some fashion. Not entirely solitary for a change. That'd be nice.
Yeah, no, it'll be good. Definitely. It'll be good. It'll be good. It will be warm, Heather. It will.
I'll do my best, but it wasn't easy, I can tell you. This outdoor party, I tell you, I was puffing and blowing like a good one, and it sort of held off until the evening, and then it just, you just couldn't. But we did all right for quite a while. It was like,
I went sleeveless on Sunday. I was determined not to be put off by the conditions. So everyone's wearing body warmers, jumpers, and jackets, and I'm trundling about in a short-sleeved or sleeveless dress and a little jackety thing that also had no sleeve. And almost everybody said, "Oh, are you cold?" And I actually genuinely wasn't until about 3 o'clock, and then it started getting damp as well as cold.
Yeah.
And it was like, do you know what? I'm going to cave in and put on my cardigan.
I've still got my sheepskin boots on. It's like I haven't gone into flip flops yet. I just not until it's going to be consistent. I'm just not going there.
Yeah,
until it behaves itself.
I had no sleeves and I had flip flops on Sunday. So there. Yeah, I was tempted. I was inviting it.
Yes.
But little old me, it wasn't enough to make it go, "Oh, right then."
We're getting there though. I think we're done now with the rubbish. I think we're all right.
I hope so. So is it genuinely going to be quite nice this weekend?
It's meant to be better. The idea is that high pressure comes up. I look at the maps and I'm kind of go, come on, up we come, bit of high pressure. And then hopefully if the jet stream can right itself, which it can do very, very quickly, then we go into the proper cycle where we're not hit by all these bloody storms.
Yeah.
So yeah,
on the way. That would be good. Oh, that would be nice. Yeah, it would. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So have you done any magical stuff this week?
It's not been that magical. I've been incredibly practical. I've done sort of very, very practical letter writing about a proposed shop over the back of us that's just not good for the area. So yes, magically I've thought it through. This is not going to happen, and then practically I've written the letter to the councillors, and hopefully that will help. There's a hearing on that tomorrow evening, so I shall be tuning in. Mostly what I've been having to do is to get to grips with Blessed Be the camper van. Yes, exactly. I've had to try and get to grips and work out, where do I get a gas bottle from if a gas bottle runs out? How do I manage? It's the practical stuff, and it's quite complicated. So we're actually giving her a test run next week, just for a couple of days,
good.
2 nights away.
Yeah.
Just to test around. I'm sorry?
I said, what, are you staying local?
Yeah, we're literally going up the road, about 20 minutes from home. So just because I don't want to be far away in case, because it doesn't work out or it's a pain in the arse. But it'll be fine. It's just easier if you're not too far away from facilities and amenities, and if you've forgotten something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely. Are you excited though?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The thing is, it's not just me and Nigel that's going. It's our son and his little friend as well. I've had to pretend that they're brothers for the purposes of the campsite, and I don't know why. Because in theory, why would you do that if you can sit with people inside in a pub? If you can, oh Christ! Anyway, they're part of the same bubble at school anyway, so it's all a bit pointless.
Very odd, isn't it?
It is very. We're outside. Well, they'll be outside more often than not, and B, they're in the same bubble anyway, and it's not like they're going to go around hugging each other. They're fellas of quite an introverted nature. Yeah. So it's anyway. So
isn't it? Like you say, you can do the indoor mixing thing now, can't you? In pubs and
exactly. So I think it's a hangover from it's a hangover from the previous day. So I've literally just put all our first names in because it gets too confusing otherwise.
Yeah. So, but it sounds like you've got a certain amount of nervousness about it as well because it's your first trip.
Yeah. It's a bit of a dry run. It's a test. I'll take plenty of food along for breakfast, but I'm not planning on cooking in the evening, kind of thing. I don't think you can have fires there, or they don't seem to, which is a bit annoying. But because one of the things about camping is a fire. But just so that we can test it out, it's worth doing.
Yeah.
Oh,
it will be fun, Heather. It will. It'll be lovely.
Nice. Yeah. Nice to test her out.
Yeah. I miss the camper van. I do. It's every now and again I think, it'd be nice to have that. And every now and again I'll see, sort of something on the internet that's, either someone's just redone a camper van or doing like a DH van or whatever. And I'm like,
van porn.
Yeah. And I'm like, I could do that. I miss that. It'd be nice.
Are you actually insured to drive any vehicle because of your your sort of? I thought you might be, because I thought that could be handy if we went further afield.
Well, anything up to 7.5 tons I can drive.
Oh, I don't think it's 7.5 tons. Well, I don't think it is. Well, imagine me after a big breakfast.
Yeah, no, I can drive quite a large truck, so yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's good to know. That kind of opens things up a bit more because it's not just me doing the driving.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. Now then, Becky's saying, please, you're crazy. Have you been getting headaches? Now, what are you talking about?
I think the please was the weather, trying to get the weather better. Which yes, of course.
Sorry.
Yes, you could have that done. The crazy and the headaches. Yes and no, I think.
Yeah, no, I did put myself into blind mode until I think, I forgot to show you this. Look how pretty this is. I don't know whether you can see that. Look how lovely that is.
The tree of life.
Yeah, but it's wire work, and it's got
a hangy thing. Yes, lovely.
Yeah. And it's got little birds and a sun and a moon and a little crowy thing.
It's got to have a crow, and you had a right old spend up, didn't you?
I bought jewellery and I bought this hangy thing. I haven't quite decided where to hang this yet. I've got a little penty at the bottom. Oh, and it's got a stag.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Coming home with me?
Absolutely.
I haven't decided quite where to hang it yet. I've got so much hanging up, haven't I? Sort of duck and dive as you come in, don't you?
Yeah, most of my spending has been camper van related, if I'm honest. But I do have, and I've got to work out exactly where to put them. I do have. Oh, you can't see this. It's a white.
White
bee. It's a bee with a cheeky face, and then obviously these have got to go on the outside, and it says, "Blessed
bee."
And they're to actually stick
on. Oh, that's excellent.
Very you need expensive, but fun.
What I imagine you need as well. I'm telling you what to do now. You need. I can't quite explain it, but you need a sort of like a vortex swirl
behind the bee. Yeah, it's very difficult to get things like that. a bee with a kind of like backdraft. I couldn't see any like that, to be fair, but
yeah, hey. Yeah. That'd be a little tiny paint job.
Yeah. I haven't worked out where to stick them yet, to be honest, but I don't think the man is too keen on it, to be fair. But it's like, don't care, it's my van.
Well, you've got to personalise these things, haven't you?
Yeah, I've never done it with any of my other cars at all. I've always refrained. Yeah. But I think it's about time now.
I think so. You can't be an adult and never have a car that's had your own personalised things on it.
Indeed.
Got to be done. Yeah. Yeah. I must admit, I was very restrained when I was a driving instructor. I was very restrained, and was obviously there was limits to what I could have all over my car at that point in time. But those days are gone. Now I've got bloody well luck, so there you go.
And Tina's telling me I need glow-in-the-dark stars to go on the ceiling inside. The thing is, it's not a metal ceiling; it's kind of like a sort of fabric. So, but maybe I can. I would like that a lot. I'd love that. But.
And normally, I had them for my son's room years ago.
My son had them on the ceiling.
Yeah, and I think it was my son. It could have been my girls. I'm not sure. Anyway, children, some of them. And they were kind of like plasticky things, but they had like little sticky pads, so they'd stick. Yeah. Or you can put that double-sided Velcro stuff on, couldn't you?
I might be able. Well, yeah, I think the sticky would probably work. Yeah.
Is it vinyl, or is it carpeted ceiling that you've got?
No, it's like a fabric. It's not a vinyl. It's got texture, but it might work. I mean, I buy a pack of them. I haven't seen any in a long time. Years ago, you saw them everywhere.
Yeah, they really were the in thing, weren't they? I used to sell them in the shop.
Exactly, they were everywhere.
They were, yeah, very much. They were a thing, weren't they? I used to sell them.
Oh, but if I see some, I'll get some.
Yeah, that'd be quite nice, actually, wouldn't it?
Oh, I'd love that. Yeah,
glowy and nice. Yeah. Oh, there's all sorts that you can get. The trouble is that you can get. It's very tempting to get very carried away with customization.
Exactly, and the thing is, because it's my day car, I also have to transport it about the place, and yeah. I mean, I'd love to. You have the little plug-in fairy lights you can get. I think, yeah, but how do I hang them up? There isn't. It's all that. Yeah. I've got to sort out the curtain situation first, so we can get a bit of privacy. That would be nice.
Have you got any curtains in there?
I've got curtains on the side and the back, except the one at the back hangs down, so that's pointless because basically it's in your face. Yeah, but the thing is that the actual windows are almost like blackout. They're kind of, they're tinted. But the few windows at the side at the front, obviously because of vision, are not tinted and appear to have no curtains whatsoever. So I need to fix. I was going to fix something across the middle that was just like on Velcro, that could be just taken down as and when. With like blackout fabric, so that if someone was looking in the front of the van, they'd see the black side, and it just looked like the van was empty, or they wouldn't be able to see the contents, which is good. Or but the inside of it is actually a white material, because that's what blackout fabric is. I thought that'd be all right. So I've got the fabric and I've got the.
You'd have that behind the front 2 seats, would you?
I'd have it behind the 2 front seats, I think.
Yeah.
Because I haven't got a hard. There isn't a barrier, if you like. The thing's very open, but it would just be a nice, just a nice touch, really. And I could take them down if we don't want them up.
Yeah, because what a lot of the VWs do is they have like those silver blind things that go in the front.
They have things stick on the windows each side.
They go on the front window and then on the sides, because then you end up. The nice thing about that is that you end up with a feeling of more space, because it's further from where you're sitting to the front window, rather than the curtain blocking everything off. Because that was the thing that I found with my camper van, that it had that solid partition behind the front 2 seats, and it made it feel quite sort of small. I mean, it was cozy and it kept it very, very warm, but you also had that feeling of smallness that you don't get quite so much if you have the open front and the.
It was only for when you were sleeping. It wasn't for any other time, really.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah,
it was just for sleeping, so you could just take them down or tuck them to the side.
Yeah.
Because actually, what's quite useful is the passenger seat swivels round.
Oh, they
put the way around. It's cool.
Yeah, the captain's chair.
Yeah. So there we go. I'll figure it out one way or another.
We've got your loo.
I have the throne. Yes.
Have you got the crown, so that when you're sitting on the throne, people know not to open the door?
I haven't actually, although there is a gold cushion to sit on top of it. Very gold cushion I picked up the other day from a charity shop. I thought that'll do.
That'll do nicely, yeah. That's what we used to do in the camper van. We had a crown, so that when you were sitting in the toilet, you just put the crown on, because obviously you're sitting on the loo, and then you've got the normal side windows. So from the outside, it just looks like you're sitting reading the paper or whatever it is you're doing, reading the book or waiting for whatever. But the reality is quite different. But if you're sitting there and you've got the crown on, people know that you're on the throne and not to open the door.
Yeah, well, they're supposed to.
Well, yeah, they're supposed to. It doesn't necessarily follow, of course, if you've got a dickhead for a companion. But
well, there is that, yeah. Yes, I may have to get a crown. I haven't got a crown yet.
Bit of gold paper and some sticky tape, Blue Peter style. That's what you need.
Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah. Must be a crown or a tiara in your travels around the charity shops, I would think.
Yeah, see, I don't mind. Well, I don't intend for anyone else to be using it. So yes, I suppose I could just have one for me. I really don't for dealing with anyone else.
You could downgrade to a tiara.
I could.
Or the gold cushion.
I think I've got one knocking around somewhere.
All done.
Horrible thing.
Oh dear, ridiculous. Oh dear. Yeah. Oh yeah, the silver screens on the outside, that helps stop condensation. I don't know how that would stop that. How would that stop condensation?
I don't really know.
It stops the van from heating up, but I don't know that it stops condensation, Tina. Not that I'm aware of. Does it?
But if that's on the outside, then you've got to put that on before. It's more faddling, isn't it? Really?
No, not on the outside. So you have on the inside of the.
Yeah, I know you stick them up on the inside normally. She's talking about ones on the outside.
I don't know. She's saying you have the outside, as in what's showing to the outside world is the silver.
Oh, I see. Normally they're shiny on both sides, but they're about 100 quid for a set. So I was kind of like, oh, I don't think so. Yes, exactly.
I've never seen them as much as that. Like, yeah, it must have gone up a lot then since I last looked. Wow. I don't know how they stop condensation. I know it's to stop the the van getting too hot on the inside because it reflects the heat and it stops it heating up. So they can get quite toasty, can't they? But yeah.
Insulates the window. There we go.
Yeah.
Well, it's a voyage of discovery, isn't it? Van life.
Yeah. Oh, it's all good fun though. Yeah. Quite envious in a funny sort of way. As I say, it's just
You'll
the
get to
sort of
find
memory.
out soon.
I know. It's I don't know. It's just having a van. You've got such freedom. You just think, I think I'll go to so and so today and stay there, and you can.
Yeah. There's pubs you can stop at. There's campsites. There's places where people don't mind you being. Yeah, there's lots of options.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of sort of archaeological and pagan sites that you can go to that they don't mind you staying at too.
I'd love to go down to Avebury. Because I know that they've literally got like one pub, and obviously that has rooms and it gets full. But there must be places you could just stay nearby. And I'd love to go back to Avebury.
Yeah, there's lots of places that you can do that. I mean, a lot of the car parks, they won't allow overnight camping and things like that, which is fine.
Well, some do if you just literally sleep in it. But
yeah, exactly. Some do. Some will allow it. There's been some that I found quite amusing because they've sort of said, it's not had an actual sign that said no overnight camping, but it said this car park will be locked at 6 o'clock. And it's like, brilliant. That means that I'm going to be even safer then. I'm staying put until 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. You're in by 6 and you're not going anywhere till 7. That's fine. And they lock you in, and that's that.
Yeah. Well, being in a pub car park is quite a bonus because you basically go in, have a meal, have a few drinks, and then just roll into bed.
Exactly. Stand about, roll into bed. Sorted. What's not to like? Oh, it's Bert. Hello. Hello. No, he's not talking.
Hannah's saying there is up at the sanctuary. Yeah, you can park there and sleep there. I've done it lots of times.
Oh, what is that? The sanctuary in Avebury? That's kind of next door, but 3, I think, to the pub, isn't it? I think.
Oh, right. I like to say it's many years since I've been there, but I loved it, and it's got a special place in my heart. And
I love Avebury. Absolutely do.
Thanks, Hannah. Yeah,
it is. Yeah, it's about next door, but 3, I think. It's where all the barns and that are. It's kind of like you've got the pub, haven't you? And then as you're looking at the front of the pub, it's, I think, to the left of it, about 3 down, and it's kind of like barns and that. It's called the sanctuary. Yeah. Oh, there you go.
That would be lovely.
There you go. Thank you, Hannah. That's much obliged.
Thank you very much.
No, you're going to be heading for in the next couple of months, Mrs.
There's a list. I haven't got enough lifetimes to get around them all. Oh, it's near where Terry the Druid lives. Wow. I'm not sure I know Terry the Druid. I should do, perhaps. But
I don't think I know Terry the Druid.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think
fun, really.
I met somebody or another, not the last time I was in Avebury, because that was quite recently, but once or twice before. And I was chatting to a couple of chaps that were in a pub, and it wasn't, as I say, it wasn't in Avebury, it was one of the little towns down. And he was very intent on telling me that he was a druid, And I'm like, oh, really?
I'm a bit druidy myself, really. But with a name like mine, you can't not be, really, can you?
I'm like, oh, really? I'm a witch,
They thought it made it up. They thought it was all that. Is that your real name? Like, yeah, Heather Wood.
Exactly. Yeah. And he was, very sort of intent on telling me how important he was in the Druidry world, but he was so important. I forgot his name.
Sorry, shouldn't laugh.
Yeah. Oh, what was his name? And he made great things about the fact that he knew Arthur Pendragon and all that kind of stuff, which I'm afraid didn't cut any ice with me at all.
That's a bit wrong.
Hey ho, lots of people know him. So yeah, but anyway, I don't think it was Terry. Terry the Druid's obviously his pal, his neighbour. Oh dear, what we got here? Oh, Susie knows Terry. Nice enough, guys. So I don't think
God,
I
yeah.
know him. Maybe I know him by sight. I don't think I know him though. I've probably seen him about on the circuit at some point. I suppose you have too. Yeah. Oh dear. Well, on that particular note, it's pretty much time we said Toodle Pip, I think. Have we seen the time? It's mad. 9 o'clock already.
It is.
Time for whizzes past, doesn't it? So we'll say cheerio. Okay, have a lovely week. Try not to let the moon get to you. Tricky as it might be. And yeah, but otherwise enjoy it. Enjoy the warmer weather that Heather has promised.
I'll do my best.
I'm going to enjoy the weather you promised. I shall be sending up a very, very fiery fist if it doesn't come about.
Okay, fair enough.
Anyway, enjoy. Thank you for tuning in. Remember, if you haven't already, please subscribe, hit the bell, blah, 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 all of that kind of stuff. And yeah, we'll see you next week. Cheerio. Bye. Bye.